Hey, this is Detroit Bob. I'm back in Florida, and you know what? A hurricane just came through, so you know I'm going to hit the beach and look for some of that pirate gold. But I'm also going to find some of that black gold called vinyl records. So we're going to hit a couple shops, we're going to dig up some gems, and I'll lay it all out for you at the end of the episode. Welcome back to RockMine. We just got in Florida in time for another one of those spectacular sunsets. So I'm taking it all in and ready to get started. We're going to look for surf rock. We got a lot of weird labels, Junior Brown. We've got Surfing by the Beach Boys. Look for these odd labels with these odd titles, and you'll notice a consistent theme. Beach, Pendletons, surfboards, luau's, everything that started this beach craze is right there under your nose with these classic 45s. You can even find modern revisions, reissues on green vinyl. It all starts with the Beach Boys on the vocal side of the coin. They had some great imagery. If you remember this Endless Summer album, it really got everybody re-energized. And you can just take the first 5 songs off that album and start your collection. Look at Surfin' Safari by the Beach Boys. Surfer Girl on a Dutch label, foreign label, the album that went with it, and it even came out in a 33 1/3 7-inch. So these are all very collectible little goodies you can pick up. Dance, 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 but there's Warmth of the Sun on the B-side, Surfing USA, and look at how young these guys look. Brian Wilson, upper right. Surfing USA with the gold squirrel, Jan and Dean Surfs Up. These are great records, and I became aware of the genre by this monster summer hits Wild Surf that Capitol put out in 91, right when CDs came out. And I realized, wow, it really is a genre. So a lot of these songs I know. Papa Mow Wow, there it is. There's The Bird's the Word, and of course the combo is Surfin' Bird. So these records are out there. The Pipeline, that's more the instrumental side by the Shantays. And you've got Wipeout by the Safaris. Once again, no vocals, but it set the tone for that surf sound. California Sun by the Rivieras. What a great one that is. And that's a great pickup. A lot of these are on solo labels. Walk Don't Run by the Ventures. You can still find these. Twofers exist. Hawaii Five-0 is a great one. And if you can get it backed with Walk Don't Run, pick that up. Of course, the Japanese twofers are good. Here's one with Mission Impossible. So if you like Hawaii Five-0, you like Mission Impossible, there you go. Hawaii Five-0, there's many different versions of it out there. So pick it up. Time to hit the beach. Here's a great record you gotta have in your jukebox. Hawaii Five-0, yeah, the theme song. I remember a dive bar up in Lansing called Max, and that jukebox used to rock this out on the weekends. People got crazy. They got down on the floor pretending they were doing the canoes like in the show. It's a hard to find 45, but there's a Japanese release by the Ventures doing Mission Impossible on the B-side. You can also get it on that Silver Spotlight series with the B-side being Walk Don't Run. That will rock your jukebox any day of the week. Another surf rock record you gotta have. The Riviera's California Sun. Did this rip up the charts or what? It's great. It sounds great today. I've heard a version by the Ramones of it. And how does a band from South Bend, Indiana cash in on that California sound? Well, it was going crazy, rampant over the airwaves in the 60s. They heard it, they recorded it, and the rest is history. Look that one up. Hey, Detroit Bob, and we're at the beach. When I go to the beach, I always think of surf rock. So this time, I got a shop picked out that I've been to before. It's called Wax Tracks up in Vero Beach. And I've got a nice little list going of surf songs. And when I'm not looking for vinyl, I'm looking for gold. So I'm gonna go do that first. But we're gonna go through these songs together, and I'm gonna give you my list. And hey, maybe I'll strike some gold, maybe I'll strike some black gold, like vinyl. We talked about 1963 being a great year. That's the year of my JEL 200 jukebox. But you know why else? It's a great year because in reality, a genre was created called surf rock. And who led the charge but the Beach Boys? If you just pick up the album Endless Summer and look at the first 5 songs,
It's an intro into this incredibly vocally rich genre about this wild new craze called surfing. All right, kicking off Endless Summer, in my number one beach song probably of all time is Surfin' USA. And this really started the craze all over the world. People just had imaginations of the Wilson brothers surfing. In reality, they were suburban LA kids, and only one of them surfed, the drummer, Dennis. Number two, Surfer Girl. And you just could imagine this beautiful girl walking down the beach at the height of summertime, and they really painted a picture with rich vocal. It was just unbelievably lush. Number three, Catch a Wave, and you're sitting on top of the world. That is a great song. It just jumps off the jukebox. It just jumped into the charts, and everybody was a surfer. Number four, Warmth of the Sun. Boy, did they turn a corner here. Some mellow melodies and somewhat somber. These guys had depth, and all of a sudden they weren't teeny boppers anymore. They were getting taken seriously. And number five, rounding out the top five of the best, greatest surf songs of all time, is Surfin' USA. It's a stolen riff from Chuck Berry, but who cares? It's got surfing lyrics. Those five will get you started, and when I go to Wax Tracks tomorrow, I'm going to be looking for them. It was becoming obvious that Brian Wilson was a musical genius, but more about him later. There was another sound or vibe going on. It was the surf instrumental songs. 3 records that just blasted off the charts and really encapsulated the sound. Number one, The Ventures' Walk, Don't Run. All instrumental, twangy, kick-ass guitars, and if you heard it, you would know it in a minute. It's been in a million movies. Going right down the list, you got to go way over to the Shantays, and you got to listen to their song called Pipeline. And Pipeline is slang for the pipe of a wave, and that was a surf hit. It was a huge instrumental hit. But the number one instrumental surf song was by the Surfaris, S-U-R-F, and their song was called Wipeout. And if you remember, I remember hearing it on the radio when I was 6. Wipeout! Every kid was pounding on their desk. If you ever wanted to play drums, you had to know how to play Wipeout on the drums. The ultimate surf song of all time. No words, but it rocked to the hilt. Those are 3 records you gotta have in your collection, and I'm looking for them tomorrow. It was becoming obvious that Brian Wilson was a musical genius. He's got his brothers singing in 5-part harmonies. One day, story has it, he goes up the road and his friends Jan and Dean are in the studio. He sits down and writes one of the greatest surf songs of all time, Surf City. They were furious with him. It went to number 1, top of the charts. It's a great record. You gotta have it if you're gonna collect the surf genre. And he wrote a number 1 song for his friends down the road. But that was Brian. He was a genius and he gave it away. You know what? Here's to the Beach Boys and Brian Wilson. Cheers.
Meanwhile, back to the beach. I've got all these songs in my head. I know the melodies. I often know the lyrics. But I tell you what, I keep thinking of more and more. And there's a thing called Wikipedia that you can look them up. No, I'm only kidding. But it's pretty cool to do the research and find it agrees with you. Let's go back to the beginning. Another record you gotta have is Surfin' by the Beach Boys. This was their first song, and they walked into the studio as the Pendletons. They took the pizza money that their parents left them for the weekend and rented instruments. By the time they walked out, they had a dud. The next day they came back. Brian said, I got a song for you. Surfin' was done on the fly, recorded in a minimal amount of takes, and it became a hit. When they left, their name had been changed to the Beach Boys. Good luck finding the original, but you can get repackaged, repressed green vinyl in a Panorama LP 45 combo. Look that up. You'll love it. As a jukebox owner, I love twofers. Now, these two here are back-to-back good songs that you can pick up relatively cheap and get the Rivieras with a great song, Little Anthony, on the back. Ramones, too. Look at this twofer. They went ahead and covered California Sun, but the B-side, I Want to Be Your Boyfriend. Great stuff that sort of brings it up to date. And in my book, Rockaway Beach is a modern-day punk surf song.
Another great record you gotta have is by the Champs, and it's called Tequila. This shows up in dozens of movies, and it's always on any surf rock soundtrack that you find. It's a great song. It jumps out of the jukebox, and I'll tell you what, that makes one of Bob's top 25 rock songs, surf rock songs.
I can't make up my mind. Should I have the Hawaii 5-0 or the Citrus Cooler? Maybe the Shark Bite. I'm leaning towards the Hawaii 5-0. Surfboards, beaches, everywhere.
Great record you gotta have if you want to have a surf rock collection of 45s is Dick Dale in the Deltones, Miserlou. You've heard it, you've seen it. Pulp Fiction featured it. It's a great surf song. It's instrumental as hell, and it just runs the neck up and down. It's a great song. Put it in your record collection.
The first wave of the baby boomers is all grown up now, but I'll tell you what, they brought their beach rock, surf rock culture with them. Everywhere you go is surf related down in Florida. There's surfboards to the left, surfboards to the right. We got sunsets, we got tiki bars. Everything about this mythology of surfing and being on the coast has been adopted all over the USA. East Coast, West Coast, Hawaii, everywhere you go, the Caribbean. It is enormous, and it's incredible how pervasive surf culture, beach culture, tiki culture has invaded and hung on. Everybody loves a sunset. Everybody likes a cold drink. Back to the records. Look for these old pressings. Miserlou right there. Sonic Surf Shop was right on my route. And I'll tell you what, as I cruised down the highway, I was looking for anything, but a high-speed train was not one of them. So I sort of got freaked out a little bit. But this is cool too. Zipping through Florida, the Bright Line train. And once again, the great landscaping of the Fort Pierce area was very inviting, and they've really cleaned up which was once sort of an industrial port area, and they've made it really, really cool. So island life and surf culture is alive and well, but so are surf records. So look for these California Sun original versions while you're going up and down A1A, looking for the beaches. Look for your record stores. Don't give up, because I'll tell you what, your best finds are right around.
Remember this place from last time we were here. Wax Records is what I'm looking for. All right, here it is, Wax Records. Let's see what this place is all about. I found it, but I'm seeing a sign that I don't want to see. Closed. Oh my God. Well, fortunately, I got a plan B. It might involve Port St. Lucie. When all else fails, you can always hit the Goodwill. It's a long shot, but maybe Goodwill will have something. You never know. Someone might have just dropped off a box full of Surf Rock 45s. Let's check it out. Sometimes I have good luck with the Goodwill, so we'll see what they got inside. Maybe an old box of 45s. Do you guys have any old records?
It would be with lots stuff.
Thank you. Let's see what they got. It's a lot of clothes. It's got sort of that old smelly clothing vibe going, but you never know. Let's check it out. I think I've been in here before. You never know. Somebody could have just dropped off a collection, or it could be a dud. Oh, there's some old records. Don't see any 45s, but
You know, I would take a nice surf rock LP any day. So let's flip through them. Goodwill was a bust, but I got one last place. It's an antique mall. We'll check it out. All right, I got one last stop. It's an antique mall. I've tried it before, so hopefully it'll come through again. Let's check it out. All right, this place is called the Wildwood Antique Mall, and I've been here before, so you never know. Sometimes it's that second visit that pays off. You guys got any old records? Old vinyl records?
We got records.
Like everywhere mixed in?
Most of them are right here, but they are everywhere.
Okay, cool, thanks.
We've got another man called One Man's Junk. He's got a lot.
One man's junk?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't find them.
All right, cool. Oh yeah. Well, here we go. So they're organized. So that's a good sign. I don't see any 45s. More records on the other side. Not a good sign, no Beach Boys. Well, let's check the oldies section, you never know. A lot of 45s came off these albums. You got Dion, Roy Orbison, Everly Brothers, Johnny and the Hurricanes, Ricky Nelson, Coasters, Gary Lewis, Fleetwood's, Fabian, Gene Chandler. That's on Checker, Duke of Soul. Interesting. Eddie Cochran, I have that album. Eddie Cochran and Gene Vincent, Jerry Lee, the Duprees, Danny and the Juniors, Chubby Checker for Twisters Only, Grassroots, Tommy Sands, Deanna and the Bellments, the Honeycombs. I'm not seeing any surf rock, that's the problem. Chantel, there you go. Not to be confused with the Shantays. Y50, maybe that's the one I'm looking for. The Ventures. Now that's surf rock right there. Pretty cool. Looks like a later reissue though. Could be 68. Look at these guys. These are pretty cool now. And they definitely had a hit with it. Let's set that one aside. That's a possible. Now, here it is, the Ventures Y50. This is the LP, and you see Y50 is the lead song. Ventures covered it, and they had a big hit with it. So this is like 1968. I don't see a date printed on it, but you can just tell by the fashions. These guys are a little hipper. These are a little cooler. This isn't the early Ventures stuff, but this is their big hit with the Y50. This is Surf Rock 101 right there. Very cool. Problems with taking these LPs on the airplane is just they take up a lot of space. Condition on this one's a little so-so, so if it was the 45 I would buy it, but I'm not going to buy an LP and trug it on the airport. What I love about these antique stores is when you're looking for something, you just keep seeing stuff pop up left and right, and I'm thinking surf, so I'm seeing surf, and I'm seeing Hawaii Surf Company. I'm seeing palm trees. I'm seeing surfboards everywhere I look. And it's amazing. Like I said, even in the decor and interior design, surfboards are the main thing down here. And everywhere you look, they're just popping up. So it's pretty cool. Beach life, salt life, whatever you want to call it. All right, found a stack of 45s for $10. Let's see if we got any gems in there. Boys of Summer. I'm picking that up with the picture sleeve. That might be worth it just by itself. Take a break. Pack of 45s for $10. If there's one good record in there, it's almost worth it. At least I wouldn't be coming home empty-handed. That looks interesting. Treasure Coast Records. That looks interesting too. Ray Stevens. I ended up buying that stack of 45s basically just for the Don Henley. I was a little underwhelmed so far, but I'm still looking, running into surf culture and surf memorabilia everywhere. So I figured I'd give you a little bit of the local color. But it's pretty cool when you're in these shops and you start seeing, like I said, the jukebox, the 45, the music culture has worked its way into popular decor. Here's an old 45 box. These things are cool as hell.
Yeah, that would look
and
good.
This one's pretty
45,
solid, like metal. So almost picked it up. It was overpriced. Like I said, it's almost too much. Take me to the beach. Here's a LP with some great surf imagery on it. And you can dig into this genre as much as you want. But I don't know if I'm going to convince the wife that I want to do surf decor in the condo. But I will take a Highwaymen painting if someone wants to donate it. It's all cool. Oh, you got to love it. I ran into some Fillmore posters. And these are a line of artwork in of itself. So if you're not familiar, Rick Griffin, Alton Kelly, Stanley Mouse, Gary Grimshaw from Detroit. All these guys are really big artists from the 60s who developed this psychedelic style. So those are collectible, not to be mixed up with beach culture. But yeah, everywhere's the beach. Everywhere, even in the paintings by the Highwaymen and their predecessors and everybody that came after them, the surf it's a mythology. Oh, some more 45s. So I'll check these out and I'll go through them one by one. There might be some good stuff in here. Couple tips. I have $3 as my average 45 price in my head. So these are all $5.99, but they're sort of weird, obscure labels. I don't like how we put the sticker right on the label because that's going to be a bitch to peel off. And there's some commons mixed in here, and I'm looking for something to really jump out at me. You sort of, after you have 10,000 45s that you've entered into Discogs, you sort of have a sixth sense of what to look for, the label, the artist. So something that you would buy as a beginner, I'm probably not going to buy because I probably already have it. Bye Bye Love, Everly Brothers, great song, already have it. Okay, these are common labels, and you're not really seeing anything that just wows you when you zip through these. The more obscure stuff, that's interesting to me right there. But Johnny Draper, Promises sort of sounds like a crooner instead of a rocker. And I'm looking for rock. There's an old Cameo level, but orchestra, no. Michael Murphy, no. Looking for stuff like Shirley Bassey, not so much. You know, Plastic Ono, it's beat up, I can tell. I already have it. Love is Blue, no. This is orchestral stuff. Elvis is so common that even his later stuff, I really pass it by. Disco Duck, no. So you just sort of see after a while you have everybody's, why, who's Gail Marshall? Some kid put a sticker on every one of her 45s. Why? Because kids would steal 45s. So if you had your sticker, less likely to be stolen. What I don't like is the price sticker. And I did end up buying a couple of these, and they were incredibly tough to get off, and in one case ripped the label. Great song, have it. You know what I mean? And it's probably worth about $3 in this condition. When you look at these, the Limeys. Now, this was interesting because it said Liverpool, and it was a one-sided 45, so I immediately set that off to the side. CCR, got it, probably 1 million times over. Nelson Riddle, once again, I don't need any orchestral. I need beach rock, and I'm really not finding beach or surf as much as I would like. But these are still cool to look through. There's some interesting ones. I think I'll get out of here with 1 or 2, maybe 3 that I'll be willing to pay $6 for. But I'm not going to make a killing on this batch. I'll tell you that right now. White label. When you see a white label, it could be a promo. So pay attention to that. Like I said, these are sort of sappy, orchestral versions of songs, but this is really not where a disco. Van McCoy, got it. Great song. San Antonio Rose, not so much. Little Toy Balloon, not so much. You're just trying to say, okay, is this worth spending $6 for? And right now I'm just trying to, I probably should have picked up that Isaac Hayes. I don't think I did, but anything soul related right now is really hot. Northern soul is a genre, a subgenre of soul that sells for very high prices. Orchestral stuff, not so much. Here's Gail Marshall's again, and a little bit more of Dr. Hook, got it. Great song, don't get me wrong. I'm a Man, Color My World, great twofer, probably not worth $6 in this condition. So, you're just looking for something to jump out at you in these labels. Look at the messy, sticky mess this guy's created with these labels. Say a Little Prayer, Dion, love it, great song, got it. Probably 10 versions of it. So I'm not really seeing, the awesome beach rock Nadia's theme. No, just no. So Bangles, probably going to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I would give them a better look if they weren't $5.99. So I'm just trying to show you the damage some of these labels have done. People try to peel them off. Some Elvis, but he's putting the label right on the picture sleeve. That's going to tear the picture sleeve when you take it off. I mean, they don't know. They just think, well, that way nobody can do any shenanigans. So you're looking for these records. I had a lot of time on my hands this day, so I was going slower than I normally do. But a lot of times I've got like 20 minutes and I'm just flying. But I had a Tiger, it's probably worth $3. There's Gail again. She's got her stickers all over. So part of these probably came out of a collection. And, it's sort of sad in Florida. You'll see someone's, relative just drop off. Oh, these were my dad's. It's just a bunch of old records. And you can just tell that the guy had them categorized, he had them labeled and numbered and spent tons of time. I suppose I'll be that guy one day. Hopefully not. Rolf Harris, 2 Buffalo. Pass. Those Gales, Bobby V again. You're looking for rockabilly, you're looking for garage rock, you're looking for psychedelic rock, you're looking for surf rock, you're looking for rhythm and blues, soul, northern soul, something that is very, very collectible. And a lot of the pop rock isn't as collectible because it's just sort of, it's too sappy and too sugary to be really seared into the collector's consciousness is my only way to try to explain it. So that's what we're dealing with. I do get lost in space and time when I go through these records. So it's sort of amazing because you lose track of time. You're just in a sort of a zone and you're looking for that one record. And sometimes it's the last one that you flip over. So you hate to leave early until you've gone through the whole stack of stuff. But I'm not going to find it in this stack today. But I am going to be diligent and go through it one by one. The sticky label in the middle, the price sticker, is driving me nuts. And you can tell how stickers were sticking to other stickers and just creating a gooey mess. So this person just slapped on these stickers and it was driving me nuts. But, that's just the way it is. When you're in an antique mall or antique store, every booth is individually owned and operated. So what one vendor does, the other doesn't do at all. And there's no rule, rhyme, or reason on how to put your pricing stickers on. But this guy probably got a label gun or something like that. And looks like he's got a barcode on every one of them. Back to the beach decor. I'm winding down. I'm walking out. And sure enough, as I go along, I see more imagery of the beach, of the microbus with the surfboards on top. And this was all created during that surf rock era and basically marketed to teenagers. And now those teenagers are 60 and 70 and 80 years old, and we're bellying up to the tiki bar. Look at this. I found one more batch. So I had to go through this. I actually found a Beach Boys, Fat Boys combo on Wipeout in this little last minute bin.
Yeah.
Check it out.
You're right. That man, they're good. Get that one. Thanks. I end up always with too much junk carrying around. Yeah, I got a jukebox, so I started collecting them. And I'm like, oh yeah. Next thing you know, I'm doing a YouTube page called RockMine. You can check it out. Probably feature your records on it this week. What's your name?
Tom?
Tom, okay. Does your booth have a certain name or anything?
I'm the vitamin guy, B12.
Okay.
That's my booth name.
I'll get it in B12, okay.
B12, yeah.
Well, there, found a cap man at Tom at B12.
I have a whole bunch more. I probably have 5 times that amount with the condition of the records the same.
Yeah.
But I can only bring in so many.
Right.
What I can do is I can change them out every week.
Yeah. Well, I come back once a month. So,
once a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who knows? Might be back up here before then, but usually once a month. That's a good one.
Are you looking basically just for the rock, or are you looking for
I love surf rock, and I love like soul, you know, like
CDs and then
yeah. I definitely like Beach Boys, and then getting into the Motown scene.
yeah, there's a lot of both.
Yeah,
I've got a whole bunch at home too.
yeah, I've got a lot of them already. Record, but I'm not going to pay $29. It's Dinosaur Jr. and The Cure doing back to back, just like Evan. Pretty cool.
So booth B12 got me a Gap band and a weird Otis Redding record. And basically, I'm ready to get out of here at this point. But, you know, I did get some decent stuff. And as you'll see coming up, some of it turned out to be better than others. If you remember the video of this one, it's a guy running down the beach with his girlfriend, sort of reflecting back on the surf rock days of his youth. What a pickup. And the Beach Boys, Fat Boys combo on Wipeout, so I didn't come out empty-handed.
I'll tell you what, I found a great spot for old 45s, and I picked up a couple surf rock fringe type records and another bunch of good old 45s for my jukebox. So we'll go through all these tonight, and I'll give them you the blowdown on them. Okay, 3 records you gotta have. The Rivingtons, Papa Mau Mau, Papa Mau Mau. Okay, it's just an earbug. It's sort of a nonsense hit, but you can't get it out of your head. It was a huge hit. And then everybody's heard The Bird's the Word. Well, if you combine them and put them into one song, then you got Surfing Bird by the Trashmen. Papa Mau Mau. Everybody's heard The Bird is the Word. huge smash surf hit, and it will jump right out of your jukebox. So you got to have that record. 2 by the Rippingtons, and then Trashmen combining the 2 into one hit called Surfin' Bird.
I was beginning to realize I wasn't going to find any surf classics this trip, but sitting by the waves and the sea, I really got into it. What a great era for American music before the whole Vietnam explosion and the protest songs of the later 60s. This was innocent, early, and just catching a wave was the most important thing of the day. And God love that era. You know, the Beach Boys, the Ventures, Safaris, the Shantays. What a great era of early 60s rock.
It's hard to overstate the influence these surf records had on the USA. Everywhere you go now, every coastal town has surf themes, surf drinks, surf bars. You can't go 5 feet without seeing the phrase surf's up. So surf culture and island time and coastal life is a way of life now because of this crazy surf craze that started in California in the 60s. And these records had a lot to do with it. At the Tiki Bar last night, they had a drink called the Hawaii 5-0.
Here's that second batch of 45s that I picked up at the antique mall. Some odd label stuff, and I did pretty good on the pricing on this stuff, but nothing to really write home about. You can see a couple of those annoying sticker labels that I was talking about. But overall, I think I doubled my money in terms of return on investment. Picked up a couple VJs, no Beatles 498, but I'm happy. The place was good. I told the guy I'd give him a thumbs up, and sure enough, he came through.
You gotta have if you're gonna have a surf rock presence in your jukebox, and it sort of brings it up to date a little bit, is Junior Brown's Surf Medley. Because then you get Walk, Don't Run, and he throws in, at the very end, Secret Agent there. So it's very cool. It's about 7 minutes long. It's on Curb Records. So make sure you get that. I think surf rock was dead. A great record comes out by the Ramones, and they redid California Sun. Now, if you know the Ramones are a super badass punk band out of New York City, but they gave it the old beach rock feel. It shows up on their album Ramones. It's a great song, and it's been remade in the 70s by the baddest punk band in America at the time. Did I mention the Ramones? Well, how about their Rockaway Beach? I would call that modern punk surf rock, and it's on Ramones Mania. That's how I found out about it, but you can get it on a 45. So is surf rock dead? I don't know. The Ramones are still cranking out repackaged albums, and you can get it on Discogs for a song. So pick it up.
When I'm collecting vinyl, I try to tap into the local vibe. So if you're in a beach town, what's wrong with collecting beach music? If you're in Europe, well, get into some Django Reinhardt. If you're in Hawaii, once again, Hawaiian music. Wherever you're at, you can make it happen.
Right, here's the deal. We went to the record store, it was closed. We went to Goodwill, it was a dud. But the antique mall came through. And I've been to this place before, but I didn't realize it had so many booths. So I just hit them, and I came out with a stack of 45s. Yeah, they weren't the best, but I did find a couple quasi-surf rock. Stay tuned. We're going to do Gem of the Week. Overall, I'm giving that place a thumbs up. Here's the deal. What happened to surf rock? Well, the British invasion. Everybody is saying that the Riviera's California Sun may have been the last big American hit before the Beatles hit. So surf rock could have kept going for another 10 years. But you know what? It's a great genre if you like to collect fun records, fun 45s that you can just load up your jukebox in. Do it, check into it, and I think you'll like it.
Back home, and I realized I'm going to have to find my gem of the week out of my own collection. So I started scouring through my Beach Boys, first of all, and sure enough, I had tons of good stuff I could have picked from. I pulled out my old Beach Boys CD box set and just started listening to the whole catalog again. And I was like, yeah, I got a pretty damn good Beach Boys collection just going right here. And this one you're seeing coming up at the picture sleeve, I thought it was Surfing, but it's Luau backed with Judy. So that's pretty cool. And that was that Glamorama where you can get Surfing USA with the 45. That one I just sold. So let's pull that aside. So the Beach Boys, amazingly, are very collectible. I would say right up there with the Beatles. You got to remember, for 1 year in the 60s, it was either 66 or 67. I don't remember. But the Beach Boys outsold the Beatles in Europe, in England. So that's, as much as we wanted to hear the British invasion, they wanted to hear the surf fantasy and the West Coast sound and the surf genre, and right on up through the later Beach Boys stuff. So it did really, really well over there. And Paul McCartney's on record of saying, how fond he was of Brian Wilson and his music, and especially Pet Sounds. So Brian's bass playing definitely, I think, influenced.
All right, RockMine,
Paul.
it's great to get back home. What a great episode. I learned a lot. And that original Glamorama modern pressing, I found out here, it's not Surfing. It's Luau with Judy. And there it is, a beautiful recreation of the original picture sleeve from Surfing, recorded in 1961 and Judy in 62. Check this out. It's green vinyl. Hang on. Yeah, so there's the green vinyl I was talking about. Look at how rich that is. And this is that Glamorama. You get an LP, which was the Surfing USA LP, and the B-side. Look at that. So both credited to, Luau is Bruce Morgan. Who's that? It must have been something they were handed. But Judy, the B-side, credited to Brian Wilson. Now, here's a record that I bought it last time I was in Florida. And I think I paid $7, but I just sold it for $18. Now, the artwork on this, I'm like, what the hell? They're at a cafe and looks like London. So I really don't get the artwork, because the beach, I would have run with that all day long. So, this is where Capitol, I just scratched my head when they were doing Sgt. Pepper and stuff like that. Artwork, they just went to the mat, but I think it suffered because of the artwork, but what a great song. And to be fair, there's the Beach Boys, a little bit better side picture. Let's see if we can name. There's Dennis, there's Brian, there's Mike Love, there's Al Jardine now, so David Marks is gone, and then there's Carl Wilson. Those are the three brothers and the cousin. Get a better shot there. So from left to right, you have Dennis. His hair's getting long. There's Brian, the musical genius, wearing some kind of fur collared thing in with a movie camera. Next over, Mike Love, Al Jardine, ostensibly David Marks' replacement. And then on the right, the little brother, is Carl Wilson. Now, granted, maybe in Europe they were really selling really well. So that's it. And there it is, California Girls, the Capitol swirl. Very recognizable. And remember, Beatles, Beach Boys, boy, they were right next to each other. Let them run wild on the B-side. California Sun, I have the original Joe Jones, and it's a little bit more of an R&B hit. So this is before the Rivieras recorded it, on Roulette. Made in the USA. Golden Oldies hit series, almost always a twofer. I don't know, you talk too much on the other side, but there you go. And there's that Surf City USA, Jan and Dean, Jan Barry, Brian Wilson. So I gave Brian all the credit. So it looks like it was a co-write on the credit at least, but you can hear Brian Wilson all over it. A little scuffed up, but this would play great.
All right, we left off where I was going to swap out this part right here. And it's actually just sliding a picture sleeve into this area here. Now, this would always try to promote these bottom 5 releases, like the latest top talent selections. So this was sort of like a new releases rack right here, and that's what those arrows were for. But this part I had to find. It cost me $90 just for that little frame, and I'll show you how we're going to put the new picture sleeve in there. All right, so I'm almost happy that my jukebox didn't work when I first got it, because otherwise I wouldn't have learned how to fix all these things. First thing is opening up the unit. Basically just a big glass panel that lifts up like that. And it's heavy. That panel probably weighs 50 pounds. So then we have to access the actual upper panel, and I believe it sits right in here. And look at that. Simple enough. You can see right here where the picture sleeve slides right in there. And that's all I got to do on this. So we'll find my picture sleeve, which I have right here. And we're going to go ahead and slide it in there without destroying it. And I don't know if you can see that, but definitely fits in there like that. And up top like that. And it's in pretty good shape, so it should slide right in there, right? Something like that. Here's the bottom edge. Probably should have put my glasses on before I did this. You can just almost do it by feel. And let's see what it looks like. All right, it looks pretty centered, so I'm gonna close the lid and put that back up. There we go. And then lower this back down. Down we go. And it's a little off-centered, so I'm going to push it a little bit more to the right so that you don't see that black edge. And once again, down with the panel. And let's go this way. Maybe we'll get the full John in there. Close it back up. And down we go. I'd hate to think what would happen if I just dropped that whole thing. That looks pretty good. So we don't see the full John, but we see the ROCK and the USA. And you see what I mean? Like the color of that red matches this pink red from the jukebox. So that's why I said that would be a good fit. And let's see what it looks like from farther away. Yeah, it definitely pops. It just looks like it was made from that era for the jukebox. So a big win on the picture sleeve I probably picked up for free. The JEL 200 looks a little bit better. Let's swap out that card. Yeah, we talked about these cards, and I like to use the original when possible. And I have it in there, but this is one that I printed. But the problem when you print them yourself, they all start to look really, really the same with the same font and text. So I'm going to put this old vintage one, which I know because it's got the perforated edge, and I'm going to replace that. So let's see how we do that. Okay, so this is the top panel, or lid I call it. Definitely pops into position. And in this case, this is not in this section here, but it's in the lower section. So this just swings down like so. And there it is. Simple as that. I'll zoom in a little bit. We're going to swap that out right there. Old time rock and roll. Slide that in like that. It's just got an old vintage look to it. A little stained, a little faded.
And it doesn't look like all the other, pre-printed ones below it. So you can tell this one's old too, the Jerry Reed old time rock and roll. Anything to make your jukebox look more vintage. Just a little side note, this is actually a tray. And it's sort of like that bake light. And here's the turntable, or they call it the platter. On my unit, the needle, tone arm, is on the opposite side. Normally, almost every other record player would be here. But for some reason, they wanted it there. So it actually pushes the sound through the needle instead of pulls, if that makes any sense. And then this carousel back here is where where all the records are stored. So you can see I got some yellow vinyl, some peach vinyl, more yellow, some red. And that's how that works. And then here's your selection, whatever you're playing. Zoom in on that. And this was all gummed up in here. So this tone arm pulls the record from there and plops it onto the platter. Just a little view inside of the guts. But this whole mechanism I had to take out and underneath it and basically pull that whole thing out. And that was a Herculean task. So what I'm doing here, I'm looking for an empty slot. And there's one right there. So if you look right in here, there's no record in there. Right in between C9, if you can see that, and see that little arrow there, and D9. So I'm going to put the gem of the week in there. And sure enough, C9 right there, and D9 has got an empty slot. So I'll have to create a card for the gem of the week. Did I mention Meserlou? Because here it is, Dick Dale and the Deltones. And if this doesn't get you driving down the road, nothing will. I mean, you can be in the middle of the USA, but this makes you just want to jump on a surfboard and go out and surf the day away. Great, great tune. Always good to be back in the Midwest, back at my usual haunts. And one of them is this Valpo Vintage. So we're gonna go in there, we're gonna see if they have any good soul. Walking out of Valpo Vintage, I'm feeling pretty good. I got a bag full of records. It's a beautiful day. I got some Temptations, I got some soul. I even got some vintage, look like surf rock. So let's see what we get when we get home. And I think she's subscribed also to RockMine. All right, Detroit Malibu for RockMine. I'm here at Danielle's because I got my hair cut. God, did I need that. I just got off the plane and I went back into a local spot. And look at the stuff I picked up, some Temptations, Brotherhood of Man. So they got some good soul over there. And sure enough, did we talk about surf rock? Because Johnny and the Hurricanes, and look at the B-side. There it is, Meserlou. And if you remember that, Dick Dale and the Deltones, also in the movie Pulp Fiction. You got to check that one out. Some other good stuff here, some obscure on Karen Records, OK Records with Major Lance, major R&B Northern Soul guy. Mr. Bojangles, great one by Jerry Jeff Walker. The Young Holt Trio, all this stuff is just great. Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions. This guy's hot right now. Pick up anything you see. Of course, he's got that sweet soul voice and some other stuff. Here's some old Ike and Tina Turner. And I got these things for like 50 cents a piece. So I'm loving being back here in the Midwest because the price is right. Here is Grover Washington Jr.,
just the two of us. And I'm really, really hopeful about this one on Sun. I don't know the artist, but it's got the original Sun Records, and that's the Elvis label. So who knows? I might have a $2,000 record here. We'll see you next week. We're probably going to do some more in Michigan. We got Colorado coming up, and we also have New Orleans. See you then. All right, a tale of two piles here. Good to be back home in the Midwest. Now, down at the Antique Mall, we had a great time, but I really had to double my money. I spent $48 and my median value is $117. So I had to work hard at that. But you get back to the Midwest, good old Valpo Vintage. I've been in there a half dozen times. Emily's awesome. And here we spent $7.49 with the median value of $77. So I like that. Small stack, a lot of value there. I'll sell some of these. And I got some great additions to my collection. Here I'm going to have to work hard just to make a little bit of money and keep the ball rolling. Great time in Florida. Great episode. Gem of the week coming up. So here it is, our gem of the week, and this thing is beat to hell. I would probably give it a good, maybe a fair, but let's see if it plays. All right, the name of the band is the Rivieras. This is an old one, on Riviera. California Sun, and we showed you the earlier R&B version of this, but this, I believe, was the version that first came out by the Rivieras from South Bend, Indiana. Let's see if it plays. All right, this is sort of my working man's turntable, and I set it on 45. Let's see if this thing plays. A little scratchy. Oh yeah. So you can see, even a scratched up 45 can still play. These things are indestructible. Right there, that intro's worth it. In the warm California sun. Oh, no, 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 no. Out there having fun in the warm California sun. That thing just jumps off the turntable. Woo! That's what you call a party starter. No, 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 no. And I walk, and I dress, and I shoot. And out there having fun in the warm California sun. Out there having fun in the warm California sun. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Turns out the Riviera's California Sun was in my collection the whole time. So I'm starting to find a lot of gems of the week in my collection, which is awesome. This record's going out to a guy in Arizona. It's by the Everly Brothers. So if you're interested in buying some of Detroit Bob's records, I have them listed. Just do a search for Detroit Bob on Discogs. And if you like these episodes, I'm just hoping you learn that you can collect just Beatles or just surf rock or whatever really you want to do. If you like these episodes, I'm trying to teach you how to collect records. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next week. We got some great episodes coming up. We got New Orleans. We're going back to Michigan. We're going to do a little traveling east, a little bit west, but we're going to have fun and we're going to learn about collecting great rock and roll records.